GhostingFarm are able to do that successfully, there is potentially a world where GhostingFarm are able to keep this. And I think the biggest thing here is, you know, we've seen Bigburstovic taking these team fights. They've managed to get 1 or 2 kills here and there, but it's always been on a DPS. Gallo has mentioned how important it is to get these kills over onto healers. You know, you kill a DPS, but all you're doing is, you know, you've got rid of some damage that's incoming, but you're not helping out on killing the opposition team. So I honestly expect to see another stalemate here. I mean, we saw stalemates going on in Eye of the Storm. So this will once again be a very, very interesting matchup between these two teams.
I quite like the warrior from the side of GhostingFarm though, because it allows for this big spear go if he's playing spear. Yeah, like here, you get this huge big, and it forces out the dome every time. And then if you only have one priest, like, well, what do you trade next? A Spirit Link maybe? It's such big cooldowns that get forced.
Yeah, I agree on that point. I am not really in favor of Shamans. I think Invade opted into the Shaman. He didn't have the greatest monk game in the previous match on Eye of the Storm, so I think he's back to comfort. But as soon as the gates are open, Divinovic is dead after 30 seconds. Bubble available, and even he's cool. Like, honestly, this can't happen when you lose melee so early. It just alleviates so much pressure you're doing, and the enemy can simply just roll over you. And look, they are putting heavy pressure onto Invade and Sona here. That was the Spirit Link you mentioned as well, and PS used. No priest cooldowns left. The only thing we have is the Paladin Bubble.
And there goes Divinovic chicken on the way back into the fight. Just seeing in the distance all of the health bars. Invade under so much pressure, looking like they are going to be able to survive that, but there are almost no cooldowns left available, and Invade does go down. That is a healer down for on the side of Bigburstovic. GhostingFarm now have the opportunity to push real hard. Divinovic has come back in now, but once again, with that healer, that does mean that Bigburstovic is susceptible to any potential. If there's any sort of CC chain on any of the other healers, it's going to get even worse for them. Let's see if they can stabilize. If they can manage to last until Invade comes back and not lose a single player, it will be a victory for Bigburstovic.
Yeah, Bigburstovic, they win the long team fight. They can definitely get the mana gains, and they have the overall AoE damage, but GhostingFarm just have the raw melee bang, you know? These healers just get completely annihilated. So if they can wipe them off fast enough, then, you know, this is definitely go in favor of GhostingFarm. You see there, Divinovic, once again, just gonna get completely annihilated. Few seconds and he's just gone, but the mana is going down on the side of GhostingFarm. So Bigburstovic, if they can keep staying alive, keep drawing this out, keep bringing in their players after each death, then this will go to Bigburstovic. But I don't know if they can hold on for that long.
Do you feel as though Divinovic being targeted every single time and Blesovic goes down on the side of Bigburstovic? This is big now for GhostingFarm. Serad is completely tapped on mana. Zuhex is not far behind. Bobby under a lot of pressure. Is Bobby going to be able to survive this? Invade and Sonar are still there, but Sonar is basically out of mana. Still does have pain suppression available. Pretty much every single cooldown available for Sonar. So that is going to be really important for them here. Serad has no mana. Zuhex has no mana. Zerad getting out here, potentially going for that drink. Nefu, about 15-20% mana. Sonar under so much pressure. Are they going to be able to live through this? This is huge. Sonar does go down. Blesovic has come back up, and Yeman is looking unhealthy. Yeman is probably on 10% health, needs to survive through this. Is it going to be enough? It's not. Yeman and Catch Me die as well as Invade at the same time for Bigburstovic. This fight is going over to GhostingFarm. I don't believe there's any way that Bigburstovic are going to be able to take this fight now. The question is, are they going to be able to stall it long enough?
Look at Xavi here. Xavi, he knows Blesovic is defending, and the thing is, if Blesovic was running to the base, he would go for the cap. However, I think with Blesovic defending here, this will solidify the first team fight victory for GhostingFarm here. Not sending in more reinforcements will eventually win the loss, but then again, RBG coach is here. He is here. He's gonna spin now. I guess Blesovic was just waiting for Sona and Invade to spawn, so they're gonna come in as 3 healers, as we saw with German Academy doing earlier today. But then again, I mean, right now, GhostingFarm, they need to start drinking. Good, they are. Nefu is drinking to full mana. Suex is drinking full mana. Even Serad, I would argue, Serad should start going for mana here as well, because if he's half mana and they get stabilized from Bigburstovic, then it looks rough for them. Oh, they get it?
Yeah, I think they'll get it. It doesn't look like they have enough people to get in there. Invade's running for it, but it looks like he kind of might in if he goes in there.
Got it.
He gets cycloned. Only him, Blesovic, and Divinovic need to peel off fast and hopefully not get punished by the armada of melees that they have on the side of GhostingFarm. They're getting tunneled down now, and they don't even have their entire team with them. They're able to pull back. hopefully able to pull back.
And GhostingFarm.
Sonar's been caught out. Sonar has been caught out. That is not where you want to be as a healer. Looks as though he is able to escape, though. Destru backing off. That could have been a disaster for Bigburstovic if they lost a healer there. But they are able to kind of regroup. Looks as though they are going back in. Again, this battleground is not over by any stretch of the imagination. There is still time for GhostingFarm to come back into this. But this is where you start to think to yourself, okay, what do we need to do here? What do we need to change? Is there anything we can do to potentially swing this in our favor if this team fight doesn't work out? Because every single time Divinovic has come into this, he's just been blown up by GhostingFarm. And, you know, that to me feels as though that is something that they have definitely decided upon. They've kind of said to themselves, we need to get rid of Divinovic. He's just doing too much damage. But he looks as though he's surviving a little bit longer. Bobby taking a bunch of damage. Divinovic is also once again the target. And taking a look at mana, obviously Bigburstovic are going to be ahead pretty much the entire time, but GhostingFarm not looking too bad themselves. And Divinovic goes down, gets blown up, as does Bobby. This is just brutal. And every single time they step forward, I don't know what GhostingFarm are doing, but they are just targeting them with nukes.
I think it comes down to the composition, honestly. Red is already quite squishy if he's not allowed to off-heal, let's say if his inner stun, right? So when he and Bobby is the only melee pushing in, he's also very easy to single out. If he's pushing in too deep, maybe LOSing one healer, and that is quite important that you don't do that. So honestly, great play and adaptation from GhostingFarm. They know their targets. It is the Red Paladin, the guy going in deep, and honestly, with these two kills, I would have liked to see them already go out for a few drinks. As we see, Serat is already at 30% mana, so as soon as you kill 2 DPS, you need to utilize your timings and get some mana. It's really quite scripted when it comes to that. But also, Bigburstovic, their comp, we assume they're gonna roll over GhostingFarm in teamfight, but my heart is warm. The winners is soon to be GhostingFarm.
I mean, the more I think of it, the worse Bigburstovic comp is in this sort of bursty meta. They're playing for the pure rot damage, but they can't keep themselves alive for that. They one time they got the healers of GhostingFarm but by that time they'd already sacrificed 3 or 4 players as they kept coming back and back and back. I really dislike the rest of Shaman into this melee cleave because his totems die instantly. He's getting no value out of Healing Tide. He's having to cast too much. He's just getting completely railed, so it doesn't bring anything.
And that's the other side of it as well. We mentioned Divinovic and Bobby. You know, they're stepping forward, and Divinovic is doing so much damage as that Ret Paladin. As soon as they step into the team of GhostingFarm, you have the Ret Pally on the side of GhostingFarm, the DK on the side of GhostingFarm, and the Warrior just immediately turning around and going, okay, and throwing everything at them, and there is absolutely no way that they can be saved. And they're going back in for this team fight, and again, I honestly think Bigburstovic, if they're going to do this, they need to start splitting up GhostingFarm. They need to start getting, you know, a little bit of pressure over onto mines.
Yeah, and also I would actually use that comp. Maybe send Warlock and a Boomkin and maybe a Red to mines. You know, try to take a 3v3 with 3 DPS that can off-heal. And also, I think why Bigburstovic is struggling. I mean, where's the Mortal Strike? Mortal Strike is 25% reduced healing, and that's essentially 25% extra damage if you just do the numbers. So, not opting into a Warrior or a Demon Hunter who can play this Mortal Strike, I don't like it at all. In the start I liked it, but as we go deeper into the game, I just feel like it's just a big team of padders, really.
Yeah, and you can see, take a look, you can see Divinovic there, and is just surrounded by the Warrior and the Ret Paladin. Now they're switching over onto Bobby. They're basically just getting free reign on the melee of the side of Bigburstovic. And as soon as they move in, you just see their health dropping so rapidly. And again, you know, that Mortal Strike is doing work for GhostingFarm. Gello, if you're Bigburstovic right now, what do you have to do to turn this map around?
I mean, there's not much they can do. They've opted into this team fight comp where they have very few DRs. If they wanted a ninja something, all they have is fear or stun. They're very limited to just win this team fight, outlast GhostingFarm, and just play for the mana game or get like a big death bolt off. Both Warlocks playing death bolt, but I haven't really seen it come to light very often. Every time it gets casted, no one really takes too much damage. RBG coach now moving toward mines. He's not AFK, so
yeah. Bigburstovic are leaving here.
Oh, and with that, I guess we can solidify GhostingFarm going against all odds and all predictions, both from cast and chat. Really, the underdogs upsetting here, pushing further into the tournament. And I'm sure Bigburstovic is not happy with his loss, but I'm sure that Captain, the ex-Burstovic player, is really happy, knocking out his own team. So, I mean, honestly, great performance by GhostingFarm.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. And that does mean that they move on in the lower brackets, and we do say goodbye to Bigburstovic. Bigburstovic are out of the tournament, but I want to see some love in chat. I want to see hearts in chat for Bigburstovic. They have played a fantastic tournament. Unfortunately, not their weekend. I'm sure they will be back. Didn't quite work out for them this time, but well played by GhostingFarm. And, you know, we spoke about, you know, before the series actually started, where we were talking about Bigburstovic and, you know, that they were probably the favorites going into this, Galu. But do you feel as though their inability to kind of change things on the fly has almost been their weakness here?
I think they're just not very good at picking comps. They seem to not have like the meta comp that everyone else is running. They've got this like no warrior playing caster comps. It seems like the priest just easily out-healed the warlocks and the boomkins. I don't know. It just was very poorly planned out, I think, into competent healers.
Yeah, and also what you mentioned about the death bolt. I would argue when you run double warlock and you know it's a combination with the soul rod, you can do literally 50k death bolts. So I'm wondering why can't they just time it together? Like it's just hold your cooldowns and use it together. Maybe get a free root beam on the healers and then just start throwing them at the melee. Honestly, I mean, or maybe it's just great play from the priest, right? I mean, if they're dispelling Soul Rod on cooldown, I mean, you don't get big balls either.
Yeah, very, very true. Very true. We are seeing GhostingFarm here. Looks as though they are going to take the 3 cap, and that will be it. They do win this best of 3 2-0 against Bigburstovic, and they're going to move on, and they're going to be going up against the winner of German Academy versus Known Unknown. And out of those two teams, Eddie, who do you feel as though GhostingFarm would feel better going up against?
I'm sure that they would prefer